You can be surrounded by people all summer long and still be the loneliest woman at the party, and nobody will know because you're the one holding the tray of appetizers. Stay with me because today I'm going to show you the difference between being socially busy and being truly connected. By the end of this episode, you'll know why your calendar can be full while your heart still feels empty. Why midlife friendships can feel so hard to access, and one tiny conversation shift you can make this week to feel more known. And the reason I bring this up is that we're seeing all over social media the need to connect. And no, the answer is not more coffee dates. Hey, it's Kiley. Welcome to the Joy Shift. We're heading into the summer of 2026, and summer is supposed to be the season of connection. We're talking about block parties, vacations, backyard dinners, and catching up over iced coffee in case of my daughter or me, just regular coffee. The group texts, the neighborhood gatherings, the family weekends, the we should get together soon conversations that may or may not actually happen. But for a lot of us in midlife, summer highlights a painful contrast. The difference between being around people and being connected to people. The difference between having plans and feeling known. And the difference between being included and feeling emotionally safe. And before you decide this episode isn't for you, because you have friends, a spouse, coworkers, family, a church group, a book club, or a group chat that never stops, I want you to hear me. This episode is especially for you because midlife loneliness does not always look like isolation. Sometimes it looks like being surrounded by people who all assume you're fine. Let me give you the numbers first because this is not just in your head. The U.S. Surgeon General and the World Health Organization have both named loneliness as a serious public health issue. And AARP released research showing that nearly half of adults between 45 and 49 report being lonely. Half. So the next time you're at the school event, the dinner, the neighborhood barbecue, the graduation party, and the summer cookout, look to your left. One of you may be carrying this quiet ache. And when most people hear the word lonely, they picture someone isolated, someone with no friends, no family, no plans, no one checking in. But that is not always what midlife loneliness looks like. Midlife loneliness can wear a very clean, responsible outfit. It looks like the woman who runs the school fundraiser, the woman who remembers every birthday in the group chat, the woman who brings the right appetizer, the woman who knows everyone else's schedule, preferences, allergies, and emotional temperature. The woman everyone describes as so good at handling things. It might look like you sitting in your car in the Target parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, suddenly realizing you have not had a conversation about anything real in weeks. I mean, you have people. I have people. You have plans. You have responsibilities. You have texts to answer, but somehow the conversations have become mostly logistics. Like, who's picking up the kids? Did you see that email? What time is the reservation? Are we bringing anything? Can you send me the link? What's the plan for Saturday? And none of those conversations are wrong. Life requires logistics. We all do. But here's the problem. You can be drowning in logistics and starving for intimacy. You can have a full calendar and an empty heart. You can be deeply loved and still not feel deeply known. And I think that's the part we don't always know how to say out loud because it sounds ungrateful. It sounds very dramatic. And it sounds like something must be wrong with us. We think, how can I be lonely? I have people. But loneliness is not always the absence of people. Sometimes loneliness is the absence of honesty. Sometimes it's the absence of emotional access. And sometimes it's the ache of being seen for what you do, but not asked about who you are. It's starving for someone to ask, how is your heart doing? Or what's in your soul? And then actually, after they ask it, wait for the answer. So why does this happen? Why do capable, accomplished, generous women end up with full calendars and empty hearts? I believe a lot of it comes back to what I would call the worth wound. Somewhere along the line, you learned that your value was tied to how well you managed everything, how helpful you were, how low maintenance you are, how emotionally steady you seemed, how quickly you could read the room and adjust. And you learned that being easy to love meant not needing too much. So when you feel overwhelmed and sad and resentful and disconnected or quietly exhausted, you don't say it. You edit yourself. You think everyone else is busy. No one has time for my drama. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to bring down the room or the vibe. And I don't want to be the needy friend. I don't want my husband to think I'm unhappy. And I don't want my kids to worry. Or I don't want to make it awkward. How's that one sound? So you become very good at presenting the manageable version of yourself. And I'll tell you how I know this. Because for years, when a friend texted me, "How are you?" I typed the same two words almost every single time, like busy, good, fine, doing wonderful, exclamation point, and everything. Even on the days I was neither busy in a meaningful way nor good in an honest way, just busy good. That tiny phrase can become a whole identity. It says, I'm handling it. I've got it covered. It says, you can keep assuming I'm fine. But that is not connection. That is performance. And performing happiness has a cost. Your social life can look healthy on paper while your inner life is happening in a separate locked room. You can be in the room, at the table, on the thread, in the photo, at the party, and still feel completely unseen. Because when you perform your life instead of living it, people may admire you, appreciate you, even depend on you, but they cannot truly know you. And if you're not known, you cannot feel connected. Let that land for a second. If you're not known, you cannot feel connected. The armor you're wearing to protect your relationships may be the very thing keeping you lonely. Now, I want to say something important here. This is not all your fault. There is also a structural reality to midlife friendship, and that makes connection harder than it used to be. I call it the friendship paradox. In your 20s, friendship was often your environment, especially if you lived with friends, you studied with friends, you worked late shifts with friends, you borrowed clothes, you ate cereal on someone's couch at midnight. You processed every tiny life decision in real time because everyone was right there. Connection happened by default because of proximity. In your 40s, 50s, and 60s, friendship often becomes an event. It gets scheduled 3 weeks out, and sometimes it also gets canceled. It requires childcare, calendars, work schedules, aging parents, spouse coordination, travel, sports, weather, energy, and the emotional stamina to leave the house after 6 p.m. Am I being honest or not? And because friendship becomes an event, there is pressure for the event to be worth it. You finally get the dinner on the calendar, and suddenly it feels like you need to bring the highlight reel version of yourself. You don't want to spend your precious 2 hours admitting you cried in the shower on Tuesday. You don't want to waste the one night out by being heavy. You don't want to be the one who changes the mood. So everyone shows up polished, their brightest selves. Everyone says some version of, oh, things are good, just very busy. Everyone laughs. Everyone orders the salad or the fries or the second drink. Everyone talks about the kids, the trip, the house project, the schedule, the show they're watching. And maybe it's fun. Maybe it's lovely and we've had a great time. And, we got to repeat that. Maybe you really do enjoy these women. But then you get in your car afterward and feel that little drop in your chest because it was nice, but it wasn't nourishing. It was pleasant, but it wasn't intimate. And it was connection adjacent. And what your heart wanted was the real thing. I think this is why the whole internet is obsessed with authenticity right now. People are making millions by turning on a camera and talking without a script. Like, why? Because we're exhausted by polish. We're exhausted by curated. And we're exhausted by pretending the filtered version of life is the full story. We are craving the raw and the real. And you are craving that in your actual life also, not just from strangers online, not just from podcast hosts, not just from authors, coaches, or people you follow on Instagram. You are craving one place in your real life where you can take the armor off, one place where you don't have to be impressive, one place where you can tell the truth without immediately cleaning it up. Because here's what's at stake if you don't, nothing dramatic, and that's the trap. Your life may keep functioning. The calendar will keep filling. The group texts will keep going. The appetizers will keep getting made. The reservations will keep being booked. Another summer can pass where you're present but not known. Another season can pass where the woman who used to say real things out loud gets quieter and quieter. You don't lose your life all at once. You lose yourself inside it. And that is the cost. So how do we begin to change this? not by blowing up your life, not by dumping all your friends, not by deciding everyone is shallow and moving to a commune, not by scheduling 12 deep coffee dates and turning connection into another self-improvement project. You know my philosophy: integration, not elimination. We're not trying to escape the life you have. We're trying to help you actually live inside it. And this is where we walk through the permission stack: desire, permission, action, and identity. First, desire. You have to name the hunger, not judge it, not explain it away, not minimize it because other people have it worse. Name it. You might say, I'm lonely. I miss deeper conversations. I want to be known. I want to stop performing. Okay. I want friendships where I don't have to earn my place by being useful. That may sound simple, but for a woman who has spent years being the strong one, naming desire can feel rebellious because desire admits need. And need can feel very off-putting when you've built an identity around being low maintenance. But your desire for connection is not weakness. It is wisdom, and is your heart telling the truth. And maybe the truth is the surface level stuff is not enough anymore. That does not make you ungrateful. It makes you awake. And second is permission. Give yourself permission to be a little messy, not chaotic, not emotionally reckless, not dumping your entire inner world onto someone in the checkout line. Just honest. Permission to say, actually, I've had a hard week. Permission to say, I miss you. Or permission to say, I don't totally feel like myself right now. Permission to be the one who lets the conversation get real. You don't have to be the strong one 100% of the time. Nobody assigned you that job. You volunteered to be the strong one, and you are allowed to unvolunteer. Third is action. And this is where I want you to be very practical, because insight without action is just a nicer way to stay stuck. And here's your assignment this week: one relationship, 1 inch deeper. That's it. I'm not asking you to plan a vulnerability summit. I'm not asking you to confess every unmet need you've ever had. I'm not asking you to make your friend dinner and hand her a 5-page emotional agenda. I am asking you to break the script one time, just one. The next time a friend texts, how are you? Don't type busy good. Type the truth or voice text it. Actually, I'm feeling overwhelmed today. That's it, 6 words. Send it before you can edit yourself back into performance. And try this with your spouse. Instead of asking, how was work? Ask, what was the best part of your day? Or what's been weighing on you lately? Or what do you miss about us? That last one is pretty brave. Use it when you mean it, because sometimes you may not like the answer. Or try this with a friend you've been missing. Text her, I miss the real us. Can we get together? No agenda? Not, we should catch up sometime. How many times have you thought that or said that or written that? Not, life is crazy. No, let's do coffee when things slow down, because we both know things may never slow down. Try, I miss the real us. Can we get together? No agenda. Or if you're at dinner and the conversation has stayed on logistics for an hour, ask one better question. What's something you've been carrying lately that no one would know? What part of this season feels heavier than you expected? What are you craving more of this summer? What's one thing you wish people asked you about? You do not need every conversation to become deep. You just need to create one opening, 1 inch, one honest sentence, one better question, one moment where you refuse to perform, okay? This is how intimacy begins to come back, not with a dramatic overhaul, with a crack in the script. And now, fourth is identity, because here is what happens when you start taking the armor off in tiny moments. You stop being the woman who manages her relationships. You become the woman who actually lives inside them. You become a woman who does not just keep the calendar full. You create emotional safety. You become someone who makes it easier for other women to tell the truth to. And I promise you, the women around you are probably just as lonely as you are. They may look busy. They may look successful. They may look surrounded. They may look like they have all the support in the world. But many of them are waiting for someone else to go first. Be the one who goes first, not because it's your job to fix everyone, not because you need to be the emotional leader of every room, but because you are no longer willing to abandon yourself for the comfort of pretending. You're allowed to need, and you're allowed to want. You're allowed to want depth. You're allowed to outgrow the version of connection that only works when you are easy, useful, and upbeat. You're allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. So let's bring this home. If you're feeling lonely, even though you have people in your life, nothing is wrong with you. You may not need more plans. You may need more honesty. You may not need a bigger circle. You may need one safer conversation. And you may not need to become more interesting, more available, more fun, or more impressive. You may simply need to become more real. So this week, remember the assignment: one relationship, 1 inch deeper. Tell the truth when you want to perform. Ask the better question when you want to stay safe. Text a friend when you want to wait for her to text first. Let one person see one real part of you. That is enough for this week. That is the shift. Now, before you go, if this episode names something you've been carrying, that quiet ache of being busy with people, but not truly known by any of them, I want to extend an invitation, because sometimes this is not just about friendship. Sometimes loneliness is the signal that a deeper part of your life is asking for attention. Maybe you are in a chapter where everything looks successful on paper, but something inside you is whispering, this is not the whole story. Maybe you have been performing okay for so long that you are not even sure what you actually want anymore. Maybe you're ready to stop managing the life everyone sees and start tending to the life you are actually living. I opened 3 private sessions this month. These sessions are for the woman who looks capable, responsible, and successful on the outside, but knows something deeper is asking for change. We'll get clear on what chapter you're actually in, what is keeping you stuck, what your heart has been trying to tell you, and whether private coaching makes sense for where you are right now. You'll find the link in the show notes. And one more thing. If a specific woman came to mind while you listened, a friend you love, but haven't really talked to in a while, send her this episode. Follow the Joy Shift wherever you're listening. Next week, we'll keep going, and I'd rather you not have to come looking for it. Until next time, keep expanding.